Hey there, Pixies and Peeps. Thanks for tuning in again to the Purple Pixie, and welcome back to the Fairy Garden, which is what I call my craft room. Today's video is all about patriotic DIYs that I'll be using to decorate my tree for Memorial Day, which is a holiday that is meant to honor and remember our heroes who have died while serving in the U.S. military. This video is also a part of a collaboration hosted by Theresa B DIY and Sammy at Unicorn Dust Designs. It's part of a month-long fundraising event that Theresa calls Crafting Because of the Brave. All of her monthly revenue will go to the Fisher House Foundation, which is an organization that houses families of veterans while they're in the hospital receiving care. Amongst other things, they also provide scholarships for veterans and military family. Being a veteran of the U.S. Army herself, this organization is near and dear to Theresa's heart. So make sure you head on over to her channel, watch some videos, and make sure you don't skip the ads because all of her monthly revenue, as I said, is going to the Fisher House Foundation. My late fiance was also a veteran of the United States Navy. However, my channel is not monetized yet, but you can also help me to donate to Fisher House by buying me a coffee using the link below in my description box. Every coffee bought for me in the month of May 2021 will go directly to the Fisher House Foundation. But I will also leave a link to the Fisher House Foundation in my description box below, and you can go there to donate if you wish. We'll talk about this some more later on in the video, but for now, let's get started on turning this Easter/spring tree into something more patriotic with our first DIY, shrink plastic ornaments. Some of you may remember a thing from the past called Shrinky Dinks. They were basically sheets of plastic that you drew on, cut out, and shrunk in your oven. But did you know that Shrinky Dinks are now able to be put through your inkjet printer? Basically, all you have to do is pull up an image, enlarge it, lighten the color a little bit, and then send it to your printer. Cut it out, bake it in your oven for a few minutes, and voila! You have miniature ornaments. So what I decided to do for my patriotic tree is print out different seals of the United States military, as well as a few other things, and make some patriotic ornaments all my own. I designed these in the Silhouette Studio. And these, I just pulled up a Googled image of military seals online. Make sure to use a hole punch in order to get a hole in there, unless you want to just glue it onto some ribbon. And like I said, once they were printed out, you simply cut them out of the sheet of plastic and bake them in the oven according to the package directions, because not all shrink plastic is the same. Some will shrink a lot more than the others, and some will take less heat than others. So make sure you read your package directions very carefully. You could even cut the edges to be decorative using special scissors or even hole punches. Whatever you do, make sure you cut as close to the colored edge as possible, because once it's baked, there's no going back and trimming it up. And don't forget to punch some holes, that way you can string some ribbon through it to hang it up. Here's a look at how all of mine turned out. These all fit on one size of regular copy paper, And once they're done, be sure to seal them with either some Mod Podge or clear coat spray paint. Otherwise, the ink will wash right off if they get wet. Shrink plastic also comes in different colors now. So for this POW MIA ornament, I took a piece of black shrink plastic, cut it into a rectangle, and shrunk it down. And now I'm using a decal that I made on my silhouette, and I'm going to apply that to the shrink plastic. Whoops, looks like I'm missing an E, but it's still on the paper, so I'll just go back and add that afterwards. I am so pleased with how these ornaments came out, and I can't wait to get them hung up on my Patriotic tree. And now let's get into something that's also near and dear to my heart, salt dough ornaments. First of all, something you should know about me is I collect cookie cutters. I have over 420 cookie cutters in my collection. And it all started years ago when I would make salt dough ornaments for Christmas with my kids. I'll leave the recipe down below in the description box, but it's basically 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of water, and 1 cup of salt. And combine them all in a medium to large mixing bowl. Once you have your dough, go ahead and set your oven to 250 degrees and put your dough in a Ziploc bag and into the refrigerator to chill. It'll be much easier to work with like that. And then all you do is cut out the shapes with your cookie cutters, use a straw to make holes to hang ribbon in them, and bake them for approximately 3 hours. When they come out, they may have a jagged edge like this, and so that's when I pull out my Dremel tool with a sanding attachment. I give them a quick sand around the edge to take away the rough edges, and then I go ahead and paint them all. I forgot to mention that before I paint, I do use a heavy-duty paintbrush to get all the excess dust and flour off of them. And even though in the past all I had was acrylic paints to paint these with, I do highly recommend chalk paint because these are quite porous and they do soak up some paint, and acrylic's kind of thin. Chalk paint adheres better. Every batch of ornaments I make is different, depending on how thick or thin I roll out the dough, and also sometimes the dough can puff up in the oven. When I come across one like this, I will either take my Dremel tool and sand it down some more, or even use a piece of sandpaper and hand sand it. Here's one that kind of puffed up while it was in the oven, giving it a more three-dimensional effect. And now I'm going to give them a good coat of white chalk paint on most of them. The white chalk paint will give me a better base coat to work with when I'm applying my other colors. As I said, these things can be quite porous and can absorb quite a bit of paint, so keep that in mind whenever you're working with them. If you're a new viewer coming over from the playlist, or even if YouTube suggested you watch my video, I'd like to say hi. My name is Crystal, and welcome to my fairy garden. I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel and become a part of the Pixie Party. And ring that bell to make sure you're notified every time I upload a video. And to those of you who are already subscribed and returning, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Thanks for coming. And whether you're new here or whether you're already a part of the Pixie Party, I just want to say thank you for all of your support, because without any of you, I wouldn't be here. And now you can see that my ornaments are finished and painted and even have some ribbon on them to hang on my Patriotic tree. Once I had the base coats done, I used paint markers to write on them, embellish them, and just draw little designs. To preserve them and make them last longer, I highly recommend you also seal these with either Mod Podge, a clear coat spray paint, or even polyurethane. And now I'd like to tell you a little bit more about my hero, Kalen Rayburn. As I said, he was a United States Navy veteran, and he and I were together for about 7 years. He rode with the CVMA, which is short for Combat Vets Motorcycle Association, and before that, he was Commander-in-Chief of his VFW in DeRidder, Louisiana. He was also a member of the Patriot Guard and was so proud when this picture landed on the front page of his hometown newspaper. Sadly, he passed away in January 2013 due to an aneurysm that he had on Christmas Day. But he loved fireworks shows, so this one's for him. However, here's a little PSA for you. No matter what holiday, please be mindful of veterans in your area as you pop fireworks. But the fireworks we're making today aren't going to scare anybody because they're just made from old toilet paper tubes. I cut one open and folded it in half, and then I burnished it with my Cricut scraper to make the crease even harder. Then I trace half of this cup in order to give me a half of a circle. I'm going to cut it out and then cut into the middle of the circle. Now I'm taking these festive decorative napkins that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to decoupage them onto my pieces. One on the circle top, and the other napkin I'm going to glue onto the toilet paper roll itself. So how do you recognize Memorial Day holiday? Does your family have a barbecue or get together? Maybe you go camping for the weekend. Let me know in the comments down below. If you're able to get a good amount of Mod Podge onto your toilet paper tube, you shouldn't have to peel off the layers of the napkins. However, some napkins are made differently and they may not stick. So make sure you put a good amount on the bottom and on the top of the napkin. Once they're dry, go around and trim up the edges, and then go ahead and cut the slit in the middle so you can fold it into a cone and then use your hot glue gun to keep it shut. And don't do like me and burn your fingers. By all means, use your finger protectors if you have them. Now take the cone shape and hot glue it onto the top of the toilet paper tube. And now we're going to make some tails coming out of the bottom of our fireworks. So I'm going to take these two plastic tablecloths, I think I got them at Walmart, and I'm just going to leave them folded up and cut some slits. Once I have some strips cut, I'm going to roll it out and cut them into, well, shorter strips. They don't have to be straight and perfect because I want them to be kind of, well, whimsical. However, if it bothers you, you can trim yours as straight as you want. Once I had several strips of each tablecloth cut out, I stacked them together and tied them in a knot in the middle. Then I took the knot and I glued it inside of the toilet paper tubes to make it look as though they were flying out of the bottom, like sparks would be coming out of the firecracker. And last but not least, I took these manicure scissors, poked a little hole in the top of the cone, and hooked some ornament hooks in there so I'll have a way to hang them. I think these turned out absolutely adorable, and I can't wait to put them on the tree. So now let's move on to the ragtag garland. And once again, I'm going to use some strips of these plastic tablecloths as well as some of this ribbon that I've gotten a long time ago. And I'm just going to cut them all up into strips and then tie them to my cotton thread. I sporadically picked different strips as long as it incorporated the red, white, and blue. Then I slipped them under my cotton thread, tied them together, and moved on to the next one. Once I had a whole bunch strung on there, I spaced them out about 4 to 5 inches in between. Then I took a small piece of that cotton thread and tied it around them so that they would all lay flat, I guess you could say. I trimmed off the ends with my scissors, and then the last step is to embellish it with some of my dough ornaments. These are some of the ornaments I made that I didn't put a hole in because I knew I was going to glue them to my garland. I didn't want them to hang from a ribbon or hang from the tree. So I'm gluing them to my garland by putting a good bit of hot glue on the back of them and then placing the knotted garland right on top. This is going to make a great touch on my patriotic tree. Now let's talk a little more about our host for this collab. Theresa B from Theresa B DIY, as I said, is an Army veteran. She's also very creative and talented, so I highly recommend you go check out her channel. And our co-host Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs is also very creative and talented. She's been quite busy because she's a contestant in Heidi Sombel's Creative Champions contest. And she's just as wonderful as all of her DIYs. So go check out her channel too. You won't be disappointed there either. But for now, let's move on to our last DIY, the star tree topper. I'm going to start out using this decorative scrapbook paper and put it on my silhouette mat. Since I can't freehand draw worth a flip, I'm going to cut this star out with my silhouette. Then I'm going to trace it onto a piece of foam core board and cut that out with my X-Acto knife. I would like to state that it really helps if you have a sharp blade in your X-Acto knife when you're cutting out foam core board. Unlike me, who needs to, I guess, sharpen my materials every once in a while. However, if it does come out quite rough, you can always use a bit of sandpaper to slightly clean up the edges some. Oops, sorry for the camera shake there, folks. If you get a little dizzy, well, you're welcome. And now I'm just cutting out a rectangle shape to fit the other piece of scrapbook paper that I cut out. Now I'm going to apply a nice thick coat of Mod Podge onto my foam core board star. Then I'll place the scrapbook paper on top and let that dry. And I'm doing the same thing here for the small rectangle piece with the blue scrapbook paper. Now I have cut out some decals with my silhouette. I'm putting the decal that says USA onto the star. The other decal says God bless the, and I'll be putting that onto the blue rectangle. Sometimes it's a little hard to get the letters off onto the transfer tape, but you can turn it upside down and use your scraper tool to press the letters onto the transfer tape as you peel away the paper backing. Works like a charm for me every time. And last but not least, we have to assemble our star. We're going to put the blue rectangle up in the corner, a skewer stick onto the back, and a clothespin onto the skewer stick so it will have something to grip onto the tree limb. Once all that hot glue is dry, it's time to put it all on the tree. Here's the final reveal. Well, there you have it, my patriotic rustic tree. I love the way it came out, and I hope you do too. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. And while you're down there, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like my video, and ring my bell so you'll know every time I upload. And I'd like to leave you with this thought. Our flag does not fly because the wind moves it. It flies with the last breath of each soldier who died protecting it. I want to wish you all a very safe and blessed Memorial Day. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember that all of me loves all of you.